Earlier in the show, we talked to Daryl Woodley, the director of OHL Central Scouting. We've got one of his team members joining us on the line here. Checking in is John Finaly, the Eastern Ontario scout for OHL Central Scouting. There's John. How are you?
Good. How are you, Terry?
I am very well. Long time no see as we go through this, but I'm sure for you, last night and today, you're following pick by pick, especially the players from Eastern Ontario, and it's got to be a pretty exciting time for you.
Yeah, it's always exciting. It's great to be back in the rinks and everything again, getting out to see the players. And this year was good. Had a couple ups and downs with kind of the mid-season break in January there, but it was good. And I think following along, like you said, we have about 15 players out of the ETA that have gone already. So good start. Good start to the weekend.
What was it like? I know sometimes with some of the regulations that happened over the last while, sometimes it was province-wide, sometimes there were regional things as well. What was it like at the eastern end of the province?
It wasn't too bad. The mask mandate stayed in effect for most of the year, but other than that, and just the pandemic rules. But getting into the rinks weren't that bad. Everybody was pretty safe and did everything they could to make sure everything went well.
John, give us some background for you. How long you've been involved in OHL Central Scouting?
I've been with OHL Central Scouting. I'm not totally sure, but I think I'm closing in about 20 years. I started out as a coach in Kingston, and just happened to know the previous gentleman that was scouting, doing the Central Scouting here in Ontario or in the ETA, and he sort of gave my name to Bill Needham, who was the head of Central Scouting at the time, and that's kind of how I got on. So.
Take me through, as these years have gone on, why do you do it? What enjoyment do you get out of, seeing these young men?
I've always been involved in hockey. I played hockey growing up, and I've always been in hockey. And this is a great way to stay in hockey and to be able to see all the minor hockey, and especially the talent level of the kids today is just unbelievable at their age. And I just love doing. I love getting out to the rink and watching hockey. So.
Certainly, I'm sure very busy. A few cold nights, a lot of arena coffee, I'm guessing, over the years as well. If you got a chance to meet the players and see them in action. When we talk about the eastern end of the province, Ottawa area and all that area, of course, as you said, in Kingston, that area. Take me through what is sort of the format in terms of the leagues and the teams that are around in that end of the province, because some people, of course, watching us, whether they're around Toronto, maybe the Southwest, are not familiar. What sort of some of the leagues and teams that you would see at that end of the province?
The league that I follow and that I'm responsible for is the ETA League, which basically runs from Kingston in the eastern end right through to Barrie, which is north of, and everywhere in between. So Kingston, Quinte, Peterborough, Central, right up through Whitby, Oshawa, Richmond Hill. So those are the teams. There are 13 teams in total in the league, and I'm responsible for all 13 of them. So.
Yeah, so you said as far east, and sort of correcting what I said earlier, far east is Kingston from that standpoint.
Yeah.
So we see these teams, they're certainly very busy, and one organization that we've seen a lot from already in this OHL priority selection is Quinte, and I'm sure when you got a chance to see their games this year, you had to make a whole lot of notes.
Oh yeah, Quinte had a very good team. Again, they typically have good teams at most of their age groups. They have a pretty good size area, and they really seem to get a majority of the good kids from all the little municipalities and everything around that they have in their area. And Quinte, they were a team this year along with Markham and a couple other teams that were able to compete with anybody in the province. So. The hockey was real good.
I'm sure it's exciting too. Not only, of course, we've talked about one team, but so many more. And over the course of the season, I'm sure it's interesting to see a player where maybe at the start of the year, you kind of think, okay, this is a player I'm certainly making some notes about, and then you see their progression and see them improving over the course of the year. And that's got to be really exciting, knowing that it's someone that you initially thought, okay, I want to keep an eye on all of them, of course, but really seeing the progression of the players through a season has to be very interesting to follow.
Yeah, there is a lot of kids that you pick out at the start of the year that you see that have something you want to continue to watch, and and to watch them progress throughout the year and become more confident in their ability and to be start doing a little bit more on the ice is very rewarding. I think the players they do a great job of and the coaching staffs do a great job of developing the players throughout the year.
John, I know time is certainly something that you have to spend a lot of it in the arenas, and of course, I say have to, but I know it's a passion for everyone involved with OHL Central Scouting, everyone involved in the game. But I'm sure that is the enjoyment as well, just being around the game, around the people. That as much as I kind of said, you have to be in the arenas to see these players. I've got to think it's one of those ones that's a labor of love.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love going, and I mean, you get used to the people in all the different arenas. You see them at the start of the year, and then you get to know them a little bit as the year progresses, and it becomes like just like me walking into a Kingston arena. You know people in almost every arena, so it's great. Yeah.
Do you find you can't help it? You see what happens at the OHL priority selection, and then I'm sure over even the next couple of years, keeping an eye on some names as they develop into the Ontario Hockey League. And I'm sure even over the years, players that you would have seen starting at 15 and then maybe moving on to the NHL. I've got to think, even if you're just flipping through highlights from an NHL game, you're sort of, if you hear a name of someone you saw as a 15 or 16-year-old, I've got to think your ears perk up a little bit.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's pretty. It's a pretty good feeling when you hear some names and you can remember back to. Oh yeah, I remember seeing him play and how where he played and everything. Yeah, it's great to follow them and see how they develop, and a fair amount of them get to play at some level of the pro, and even university in the CIAU now, or the
U
OUA
Sports.
now. There's just tons of names, especially here at Queens now. Like most of their team is all ex OHL or Canadian Hockey League guys. So they all end up playing somewhere, and they all play because they love the game. So it's great.
John, I'm sure there's also players that you've crossed paths with over the years who maybe, for one reason or another, maybe weren't as high on some lists and either were chosen a little later or maybe weren't chosen at all. And I've gone on to star in the Ontario Hockey League, gone on to pro hockey. And I'm sure there's a little bit of like, you know what, good for him. As a 16-year-old, I wasn't sure, but he's proven us all wrong. And I'm sure there's that little bit as a hockey person, you don't mind when that happens because it means someone's gone on to success.
Oh no, definitely. An example from the Kingston area here is Ty Cartier in the Sioux. As a 15-year-old, I remember seeing him. He was a good little hockey player, but he was one of those guys that was a little small at that age, and but you could tell that he had a lot of skill, and he was someone that really knew the game well, and he played midget the U16 the very next year, and he happened to grow, and he got to be the size he is now, and to watch him go on and play in the Sioux and develop into what he's become now, and great for him to be able to sign a contract in the NHL. And I mean, he's just one of those players that they all develop at different times, and it's one of the reasons why if you don't, for whatever reason, you don't hear your name called here today, that's no reason to give up on your dream. You just keep fighting, keep battling away, and you never know what's going to happen.
John, as the game has evolved over the years, and especially over the last 20 years, I have to think as you've watched players, you have to maybe look for different attributes, considering we've seen the game get so much faster, for example.
Yeah, the main thing now is the skating. The game has become such a game of speed and skill now that the skating is a very major thing now, and a lot more. Like I said earlier, the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds now, they have so much more skill and everything with the puck. They're all just really good with the puck. Their shots have all been real good. But I mean, those are a couple of things. There's always the intangibles like the compete level and everything else. But for the most part now, I mean, you really have to be able to skate to play the game. Yeah.
Before we let you go, I'm sure it's nice that there are times throughout the season where there's either some crossover games where teams from other leagues come into your territory or tournaments, and that has to be a nice chance to get an opportunity to see some of the other players as well, and I'm sure compare notes with your colleagues at OHL Central Scouting.
Oh, definitely. The big tournaments, the Whitby Silver Stick, and any kind of tournament that you can get to that you can have it's kind of a measuring stick as well. You have a better idea of where your guys in your league would slot into the overall grand scheme of things. So that's the major thing, and it's always good to get together with all the guys from Central Scouting, because the past couple of years we haven't had very much of a chance to do it. So it was real good to see all those guys this year.
And I'm sure when the guys get together, there are just a few stories swapped and maybe just a few laughs shared as well.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit at times. I can't, that's a little bit after the hockey, but yeah, there's lots of stuff that we can talk about after. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know usually when we get everybody together, and of course the Central Scouting team is here, we've shared some laughs over the years heading into the OHL priority selection as well. John, we're going to let you go get back to following some of the action here in round number 5. But we appreciate you joining us, appreciate all the time you put in, and we'll see you in person very soon.
Great. Thanks for having me, Terry.